Konnichiwa, namaste, bonjour, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10. How are you today? Thanks for joining us. If you haven't been here before, this is Ken at 10. We're James Alexander Estate Agents. We're based in southwest London, southwest 16 to be precise, an area called Norbury, which is situated smack bang between Streatham and Croydon. We're a zone 3 commuter area, so probably represent the sort of average commuter area here in London. And we talk about all things property, really. National headlines, topical things, AstraZeneca, you name it, really. So how are you today? I hope you're well. One of the reasons I love Friday is because Friday is a day that in agency, we look to push everybody into properties we have available. Push is probably the wrong word, actually. We phone people and ask them to go to properties that we have that we think will be suitable for them. But it's not just a case of pushing, really. It's not mudslinging. It's about having discussions, open discussions with people. You know, how long you've been looking, what's the best one you've seen, why you're moving. Having those open discussions so we can get a picture in our mind that the buyers have got in their mind, so we can get a handle on A, is our area suitable for them? B, is what they're asking for realistic and affordable? C, can we help them to find what they want? D, have we got it and can we get them in the door right now? And obviously we want to make sure that our sellers are ahead of the competition, and making sure that if they're out there viewing through us. A few national headlines, local ones, and of course we have the quote of the week today, which is a really nice one. I really like it. I hope you do too. A few things. First of all, the census. I couldn't let today go by without talking briefly about the census. There is a £1,000 fine if you don't do it. So make sure you do the census. What it's all about is every 10 years, the government takes a snapshot of what's going on in the UK, and it's about providing for future services. So when they ask you personal questions, it's not that they want to be impertinent, it's actually that they want to see what future services might be needed depending on who you are, who your family are. For instance, if you have young children, they might think about a new school in an area. If enough people are in an area where that need is obviously coming up for the future. So the census is a really important part of planning for the UK. And it's also really interesting. So don't be afraid of it. Do it. You will get fined if you don't do it. If you have any problems with it, the website's pretty clear, but you will have seen by now some information on census. If you're struggling with it, then make sure you get help, because as I say, I wouldn't like to see you guys, especially the viewers of Ken at 10, get a fine. So get on the census. It's not a choice. You have to do it. Sorry about that. Apart from that, back to the property headlines. Something coming up for you. I have a 40-year mortgage with a 40-year fix. More about that in a second. Let's talk about the property headlines nationally first of all. Then we'll talk about the 40-year fixed mortgage, and then we'll talk about the national and local trends here. First of all, the national trends. Rightmove. They've reported the strongest spring sellers market in the past decade. And what they're saying is that the average national asking price by market sector, excluding inner London, which is a market unto itself really, measured 93,670 asking prices this month. That's 95% of the UK market. The properties were put on sale by estate agents from 7th of February to 6th of March 2021 and advertised on Rightmove. It's the greatest excess of supply over demand in the last 10 years, pushing up the average price by 0.8%. That's £2,400 this month. The number of potential buyers inquiring about each property this month is at a record and is 34% higher than a year ago, which was in itself a market record. With sales already agreed for almost 2 out of 3 properties on agents' books, buyers eagerly await fresh choice coming onto the market. And that's certainly our experience, is buyers are literally, anything that's in that sweet spot, looking at that £500,000, the maximum saving in stamp duty, really people are queuing up for. We've got one this weekend that we've literally run out of slots for. We just can't show anyone else because it's full up. Literally, we are there. Every 15 minutes we have another viewing. We never do a bulk viewing. We never just ram them all in. It's not who we are. We always give everyone their 15 minutes. And if we can't fit them in, we'll go to another day. But we literally have demand off the scale. So if you're thinking of selling right now, it's a great time if you've got that sort of property. Will the demand continue? Who knows? It's hard to say. In fact, this week we sold a property to a buyer. It's an interesting one from Hong Kong. And they were looking and they saw the video that we did, the presentation video where we walk around and explain the property to them. And they said that without the walkabout video, they would never have had the confidence to buy because they can't come over because of quarantine. By the time they got here, quarantine, had a look, gone home, 21 days quarantine for Hong Kong, they could never make that work. So they're buying on the basis of the video only, completing and then coming over after the completion. But also interesting to see the Hong Kong buyers coming over, especially in the light of events around there and the situation with Carrie Lam and everything else. Really interesting. So watching that with interest, and I suspect we'll get a few more inquiries from that area. And I'm glad. I think, there are so many good professionals in Hong Kong, and so many of those people now entitled to come to the UK, highly educated, mobile workforce, sort of people we really need in the UK. Bring them on. That's what I say. 40-year mortgages. Now, this is an interesting one. 40-year mortgage, I know it's shocking, isn't it, a 40-year term, but I don't really have a problem with it. If it allows people to get onto the market, then that's a good thing. But what's really interesting about this one is it's a record 40-year fixed rate. That's right. And by the way, this is not financial advice, seek independent financial advice, but I just wanted to tell you about this. There's a broker, lender called Habito, and they're offering a 40-year fixed rate mortgage. And if you've got a 40% deposit, they'll fix at 4.2%. That may seem quite high given current rates, but actually, if you looked at interest rate trends over the last 20 years, that's pretty competitive. And if you've got just 10% to put down, then the rate does increase to 5.35%. But what's particularly interesting about it is that there's no redemption penalty. That means early repayment charge. In other words, you can go into this mortgage if you want to lock it down and you really feel, I'm worried about rates, I want to be sure what I'm paying over long term, then you can lock it down with this. And if in the future you find that rates are much lower on the open market, there's no early repayment charge. You can come away from this loan anyway. Really, really interesting. And it shows again that the mortgage market is opening up. There's more confidence around. Since prices have started to rise and the market's bounced back, with the vaccination program going full steam ahead, people have more confidence, and that confidence is showing through in prices, and those prices give the lenders confidence that there is an underlying strong property market, which allows them to then offer rates that are more competitive because they want a slice of a growing market. So really interesting that. Another thing that caught my eye today was John Lewis. John Lewis, the massive retailer of all things classy, has now said that it's turning its attention to affordable housing. It said it expects to generate 40% of its future profits from non-retail activities. That's interesting, is it? 40%. So we're saying that John Lewis is becoming a landlord. And they say buy-to-let is dead. That's really interesting, and does say something certainly about the way that big businesses are thinking about property. It's changing. Now, onto that quote of the week. This week, it's from a guy called H. Jackson Jr. And I really like this one. There's something about it. I hope you enjoy it too. Live so that when your children think of fairness, caring, and integrity, they think of you. Love that. Quote of the week. Live so that when your children think of fairness, caring, and integrity, they think of you. Well said. So I hope you have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday with another Ken at 10. And by the way, I'm just uploading the weekly podcast, which has an interview with Imran, our local gas man and plumber, to talk about how those sorts of things can be impacting lettings and sales and general market updates. So if you want to take us with you in the car, the podcast will be uploaded shortly, and we hope you'll join us. Until next week, please like and share the video as always, and comment. We're always interested in what you've got to say. Have a fantastic weekend. Don't forget that census. The weather, by the way, here in Southwest London is bright and sunny, and we are busy. So we're very happy and hope you have a fantastic day and a great weekend. Stay safe and well. We'll be back on Monday for another one.